Hey everyone. So today I was going to talk about power a little bit and what it costs to power the AtGame Legends uh, Pinball 4K. So, as you know, if you've watched my previous videos, every now and then I like to take my systems, I plug them up to a kilowatt, and the kilowatt will tell me the wattage that a system's pulling. And I do that because, I've got a lot of stuff in the room that runs, and I love to run a lot of this stuff full time. Like I've got my home server down there, it's always on, it needs to be running. I've got like emulation systems, and of course, my main PC, and I've got these other systems and my pedestal. And so everything in here, I like to keep it running as often as I can because I like the effect, right? It's like like probably a lot of us do who have these systems. But of course, there's a cost with that, right? So I've taken the ALP 4K, plugged it in the kilowatt, and looked at several different modes. So running the system just idle, running the Zen Adams Family Pinball, any of the Magic Pixel tables, and then, of course, looking at the OTG modes because I've been playing around with OTG, and I have a system down there. It's a Ryzen system with an RTX 2080 Super. So that thing at idle pulls quite a bit of power. So if we're running that's the whole machine, plus the OTG PC is pulling about 205 watts. And then I pulled wattage running a couple of different VPX tables, and you can see there's a really big discrepancy between various VPX tables depending on how complex they are. And then Pinball FX3, which is actually very efficient. I mean, very similar to an optimized, what I would call an optimized VPX table. A lot of the tables pull about 230 watts, which is not much above idle. I mean, just setting in pinup popper, the system pulls 205 watts at idle, right? And 230 playing a game. So not a lot of difference there, which is something to consider. Because what I was looking at previously is I really love the look of the pinup popper when it's running through its like menu and whatnot. But I mean, that's a lot of power, 205 watts. If I was to run that 24/7 all year, that's $321 for the year just to run that menu and have that look, versus running the stock at idle, which would be about $87 a year, to run it like this with the high scores running and whatnot. Um, but what most of this is telling me uh, is that I'm not going to run this machine full time like I do some of my other equipment, just because it just takes a lot of power to run this thing. The even just running at idle, so the lowest cost is 56 watts continuous. So running it's 24 cents a day roughly, and about $87.76 a year to run this thing full time. Now, of course, if you run it half the day, like when you're awake, and then turn it off at night, have these numbers, and all that. But for context, it's at roughly 60 watts. My home server, which has 90 terabytes worth of hard drives and runs a lot of containers for the house. I run my own Git repo service with Gidia. I run my own cloud, my PhotoSync, all my ROMs and stuff go there. Plex server, Minecraft servers, like tons of stuff runs on that box, and that thing pulls 60 watts continuous, and that's the same amount of power that it takes to run this machine, and reasonably so. I mean, it's got a large 4K display and two more monitors to drive, plus the internals. So I'm not saying it's an unreasonable amount. And if you only power it on and you use it, when you use it, I mean, the costs are extremely low. I mean, per hour, even if you were playing like, Pinball FX tables, it's 5 cents an hour, 4 cents an hour for a VPX table, or a penny an hour if you're just running the stock machine. So incredibly reasonable, costs to run it for short periods of time, but running it full time can get very expensive. I mean, OTG at idle, just leaving it at the pinup popper for a year, I mean, that's the SSF kit right there. So it's like a free SSF kit versus running, this attract mode year round. So anyway, just wanted to share that. It's like I said, it's a calculation that I do as I'm looking at each of my machines and deciding which ones I'm going to run and which ones I'm not. And yeah, this one I am not. All right. Hope that helps someone.